You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. This is, as I mentioned yesterday, the bonus episode, just because we have so many calls to get through. I don't want to skip all of these calls, especially since it's a short week and they're all just kind of celebrating how great Packer game was. I can't promise you we'll get through all these. There's 19 calls. That would be like a record to get through in a day. But I'll do what I can. Ready, set, go.
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay, and I was obviously excited how the Packer game went, but one thing that stood out is, first of all, the injuries were played up more than they actually were. Like, Jaden Reed didn't seem to be dealing with much with this foot. He seemed to be cutting just fine and all of that. And
He did. I do think he was on a pitch count, but yeah, he looked good out there.
Mick Parsons looked perfectly fine. They said that he didn't get an injection, although they said he didn't get an epidural, and technically I think what they were supposed to have given him a couple of days ahead of time was not an epidural. It's just something that's kind of like an epidural. I guess what they're trying to say is he probably didn't get like a pain shot in his back for the game, which I don't think we expected him to. But, and then our wide receivers caught the ball pretty well, I thought. And Wicks seems like he might have really made a stride. And if Wicks makes a big stride this year, that'll be really big for this team. And then I watched the YouTube highlights of the Washington game. And it's like the whole game down in 15 minutes. So you get to see a lot of the game.
Sure.
And man, Washington won the game, but the 21-6 score really didn't tell the whole story. Like, they had a lot of problems with their offensive line trying to block the Giants defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And like they had he had to throw it away, and he got intentional grounding. ESPN had 3 sacks. He might have actually had more than that with PFF. He got hit like 5 more times, and he was just. And now they're saying he's got a right wrist injury, which is his throwing hand that he's probably going to be playing through. So Washington, they might have won the game and might have looked good. Oh yeah, and on defense they were getting beat up pretty bad too. But it's just like the Giants couldn't finish. They were at the 4th and goal a couple times, just couldn't punch it in. Stuff like that where we probably will. I am a little worried about the run game of Washington, although they didn't seem to be using it that much. It was mostly passing, but Eckler has a shoulder injury now, so but yeah, and we got to watch their tight ends, that's for sure. Obviously, McLaurin is good as well, but their tight ends in the run game is what we should be watching, I think. But I think we're going to win. We're going to be 2-0, and then facing the Browns will be looking good. All right, have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the injury designation and whatnot, you never really know. And part of being a football player is just fighting through pain. And so, whether somebody's on it or off the injury list or whatever doesn't mean that they're not dealing with stuff. And there's probably a whole bunch of people outside of that. With that said, though, apparently it was a minor thing. He was off the report immediately. Dan Quinn said he has 0 concerns about the wrist. But again, there could be some soreness, and I'm sure, any minor little tweak. You heard about football players talking about that. Like, when it's cold out, the football's different, and the ball comes out different. Imagine if you feel a twinge in your wrist every time you throw. Just saying, it's not impossible that even a minor injury could still be there and could have some kind of a factor, especially on more difficult throws.
Hey Ryan, Drew from Green Bay again, and I wanted to mention as well that about Washington, one thing about the Packers is that I was really proud of how they were so prepared and they looked so ready. It looked like middle of the season form. Yeah, we had a couple penalties on special teams, but overall we didn't have that many. And Washington, they had 12 penalties. They have a
That's not
lot to
good.
clean up, and if they don't clean that up, that's gonna really hurt them against us. And so I wanted to mention that. And the other thing was I went to, after the game, I was excited, so I went to Lambeau and just to see what was going on. And some random guy was wearing a Cooper jersey. And so I said, "Hey, I love your jersey. Cooper's my favorite player on the team. He's really a star." And the guy gave me the biggest smile you've ever seen, and he said, "That's my son." And
Nice.
then at first I thought he might be messing with me, but I looked at him, and it was definitely Cooper's dad because he had the same fat face, the same smile, everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Very good.
And yeah, so I just want to mention that about the penalties and how we just looked overall prepared. So hopefully we can carry that into Thursday. Another interesting thing about Thursday is after a loss, it's nice to have a short week because you don't have to think about it too much. But after a win, it's nice to have a short week because we can carry the momentum.
Sure.
I'd rather have the short week now after we're looking so good and we don't have as much to work on. And I was also happy we kept Parsons out at the end of the season or end of the game because he needs the reps. He needs to understand the defense.
Sure.
He needs to get into game shape. How do you get into game shape if you don't play the game? He was probably only at 25 to 30% of the snaps, something like that. So, and I felt like as the game went on, I tried to watch the communication between the players. I felt like in the beginning of the game, he was getting told a lot of stuff on the
Yeah, I
field, where
noticed
to
that
line up
too.
and all that. Towards the end, when they told him, it seemed like he was like, yeah, I got it, and
Right.
giving thumbs up. And it seemed like there was a progression of understanding. And, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I think, it was good to get those extra reps in. So anyways, have a good day. Bye.
And it might have just been a play. I think we all saw the first thing that you were talking about. Maybe I'm wrong, but he was I think it was Rashawn he was talking to a lot. Rashawn kept telling him, and there was even jokes online about Rashawn just telling him, "Yeah, just go get the quarterback, bro. Don't worry about it." But yeah, I either way, it obviously is going to help quite a bit. The more reps you can get, I think all of us were kind of torn on that in terms of bro, the game's kind of over. Just get him off the field. But knowing that he's healthy now, I think it's beneficial to get him as much as possible. And then even on a short week, man, I think it's great that they got a little bit of extra time to prepare. So you just assume it's going to be even just a little bit better. And also, especially since they got some tape this time as opposed to kind of just winging it. So very excited to see what they got cooked up for him, and we'll see if we get any more snaps. I'm also excited about Matthew Golden. Again, I think it's going to be a slow progression for both of them. I was kind of excited for Golden, maybe a little bit prematurely, but I do think that that's going to continue to grow over time. Again, similar to Parsons, the tape on it tells the story. I guess I shouldn't say that because there's two sides to that story. He seemed to be open a lot. There's still a question though of his understanding of the offense. It's possible he got open but still didn't run the right route. You know what I mean? Or the route right. It works either way, I guess. But understanding the nuances and all that kind of stuff is probably going to be a big deal in when we start seeing the balls fly in his direction. But excited either way.
Hey Ryan, it's Nate. Waking up this morning after watching that Bears loss feels great. Again,
Yeah.
It's like we didn't. There was no good or bad way for that game to end. But personally, I have a much deeper, bone deep hatred for the Bears. So I'm way more excited for them to lose. So good that happened. But I just watching that game, Caleb Williams just. he's the weirdest quarterback I've ever seen because most quarterbacks kind of have like a base level, they know how to run an offense and kind of, they've got a base level of talent, and then some of them have that like superstar talent where they can like throw from all these weird angles. Caleb Williams is like 100% in the athletic category and then 0% in just a normal quarterback category. Sure. Like he can't do some of the most basic things, but he can do some of the crazy things, and that's weird.
Well, I said that about Fields and Trubisky as well. I mean, Trubisky, everybody talks about him as just being this terrible quarterback all around, but that's really just because he didn't have like the Superman ability that you see with Justin Fields and everything. But he would occasionally uncork these really beautiful deep balls. And that was like the one thing that kept making me nervous is like, oh man, that was a really good throw. And then he just went back to being a bad quarterback again. And with Fields, it was just bad quarterback, bad quarterback, bad quarterback, and then this ridiculous make 7 people miss and run for a touchdown thing that was his superpower. But he couldn't do basic play-to-play quarterbacking stuff. And then you get to Caleb, and what do? They draft a guy that is a less athletic Justin Fields, as I've been saying. And I said that beforehand. I said it before they drafted him, where I was like, I don't know if this is the guy you should be getting, because based on reports, he sounds a lot like Justin Fields. And what happens? Exact same guy. He can do the highlight reel throws. He can't do the normal quarterback stuff. He can't just do the basic 1 to 2 to 3 thing.
It's just weird because I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen another quarterback that's that, in one category and doesn't have any of the other category. It's hard. But anyway, my other comparison that I wanted to make is I think Caleb Williams is the Cybertruck of NFL quarterbacks.
All right.
He looks
flash.
like a truck. He drives like a truck, sort of. And then he's got some cool things he can do, like he can go really fast, 0 to 60 in like a crazy amount of time. But he can't do a lot of the things that a truck needs to do.
Sure.
Like the Cybertruck just did the thing in the Rubicon Trail out in California where they were going to show that they fixed everything. And they needed 2 gas generators to recharge twice. They snapped a couple axle rods or wheel, I don't know. They snapped multiple parts. And then towards the end, I think the last mile or two, they had to have a Jeep actually tow it. Like that's Caleb Williams right there. Caleb Williams is a Cybertruck. So that's what I had to call in and say this morning. But otherwise, I think it was a pretty good football weekend. Go Pack Go.
I'm one of the Cybertruck dorks, man. I like those things. I'm enamored by sort of the future of electric cars. I wasn't in on electric cars when it was all like the Prius, and the Prius was going to save the environment and all that. I was like, give me a break. But now when electric cars are like trucks that can beat sports cars, I can't help but get excited about that. And I also I love the luxury aspect of it. Bees everywhere and stuff, I do think it looks kind of stupid, but still. I think Elon kind of is wired similar to me, to where it's like, I did it because it's cool. And I like that. But you're right, functional ability is probably not. If I were to buy one, I wouldn't buy the Cybertruck. It would be the Model S, I think, because it has all the super fast, crazy stuff, but it's just a luxury car and looks kind of cool. Doesn't look weird and stand out so much. There's other electric cars that are out there that are quite cool. Some of them, like, there's all these new companies, and I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but you'll see like a car, I'm like, what the heck is that? That thing is freaking cool, and it's like, it's a company that is making one car, and they haven't produced it yet. But this is going to be our car, and it's an electric thing. It's like, okay, well, congrats on that, I guess. I don't fully understand how that works. All these new industries. I'm into it. I like it. I dig it. I like the future, man. Even if it's not here yet, I get excited about it. Electric cars might suck today, maybe, but I know also in my lifetime, every car is going to be an electric car and probably self-driving. And we're going to be doing, like I said, 100 miles an hour down the road because they're all robots and it doesn't freaking matter. Maybe more, maybe 200 miles an hour on the freeways. And essentially it's going to be illegal to drive your own car. You can do it on side streets, but not on the highways. That's autonomous only. A lot of people are miserable thinking about that. I get excited about that.
Ryan, I need your AI specialty, okay? I need you to whip up a piece of artwork before we play the Bears. I'm pretty sure Hercules not only killed a lion, the Nemean lion from Greek mythology, but also there was a bear. We need to see a Lucas Van Ness Hercules wearing like the blue lion's pelt and getting ready to fight a Chicago Bears style looking bear in front of him. Okay, I need that from you. I need it. Go back up.
All right. It sounds like I got a lot of time to work on that because we don't play the NFC North for about 6 years, I think. There's also a slight problem where 2% of the population is going to understand the Greek mythology behind that. I would not have been one of them. I mean, obviously I know who Hercules is. I didn't know about the lion and the bear thing. Still going to be a cool image, though, probably. You know what I mean? Also sounds like there's already probably images out there. It's not going to be like the right coloring as far as the sports teams, but sounds like you're telling me Hercules took out a lion and a bear, which is pretty dope. We'll see. You got to remind me in like 4 months or whatever it is. It's a long time from now.
Hey, Ryan. Whoa, Pack Daddy. Hey, just coming down finally after that serious dopamine hit I had just before kickoff when I wanted to call in and talk about my proposed record for the Pack and came up with 15 wins. I know, ridiculous sounding, but after watching them, I don't see why not.
Yep.
Anyways, a little more in depth how I kind of got there, just for what it's worth. I was at 13 wins, just looking at LVN getting to where we had always hoped he would be in the preseason. I mean, I just feel it. I see it just in the way he moves, the way he carries himself, goes about his business. I see him being there now, and I think we saw that evidence at the game. The other thing, obviously, was a guy like Cooper playing lights out once again, just a steady performer, only going to get better, obviously, for a number of years here. And then introducing a guy like Golden, who, to me, lived up to the hype right out of the gate. Yeah. Not just to me, I think to everybody. And then, not a lot of action later in the game, obviously, but that's how I got to kind of thinking, okay, I saw them easily 11, and then 11 win, and then I saw these step up from everybody, and the continuing, progression of this, of their individual characteristics and, game worthiness, and, they're stable, they're healthy. I mean, everything about these kids got me to, or young men, sorry, got me up to graded to 13. And then, again, add a new piece and understanding better how that would affect the entire line. That's where I got to the 15 anyway, for what it's worth. I think a lot of it's also going to depend, obviously, on what Coach LaFleur wants to do in certain games by holding guys back because he's conserving them for playoffs or whatever the reason might be. And I think it's unfortunate, in my personal opinion, that LaFleur is willing to sacrifice games. I think the esprit de corps that in that clubhouse feel is worth a lot. And I think winning every game and operating like an undefeated team is got a value of its own. Surpasses some of these other concerns you might have. But that was that. But what a great game. And just finally, that J.J. McCarthy, man, that kid showed me a season's worth of progression in one game. I think he is something to be contended with. Call me crazy, but I think we'll be seeing him for a long time. I see them as being the Vikings being second in the division after us, and then Detroit being third. That's where I'm at. All right, go Pack, go. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one on McCarthy because I feel like everyone else, and I don't know if all these takes came out in the first half when the offense couldn't move. Which again, I didn't blame him for that. It seemed like everyone else did, but everything I've seen is McCarthy's a piece of trash and whatever. I don't know, kind of surprised. I thought he, again, and this comes back to where you've got somebody like Caleb who makes one highlight throw and it's like, this guy's special. You get a guy like JJ who does nothing special except just distribute the ball and do things efficiently, and it's like, this guy's freaking whatever. Like if the offense doesn't work and he's boring, there's nothing worse than that. I mean, he's a piece of garbage. But I didn't really see anything wrong, and then down the stretch, the ability to come back is a big deal. Apparently, his quote when they were down, like at their lowest point, he got around in the huddle, and his quote was something to the effect of like, "Is there anywhere else on earth you'd rather be right now?" And it was Aaron Jones that said that. And so it was just kind of like a a cool thing to have a guy that was just having a good old time and wasn't bothered in any way by the situation and just went out there and played really well. So he showed the mental toughness side, his arm talent and all that. I mean, I don't know. We have to see him in much tougher situations and whatnot, but and for a more consistent period of time. But I thought he did a good job. So we'll see how that goes. But I also think it's worth going back to the other thing you were talking about. It is worth wondering, for example, if the team were undefeated, would we go balls to the wall to win? I have a feeling we would. I don't know if that would change things or not, or even if they have one loss. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think, like you said, there's something to be said about that feeling, and I have to assume that Matt LaFleur would feel it if that team just feels like an absolute powerhouse that can't be defeated. I don't know that it would go over very well to just take an L. You know what I mean? Not that it's automatic that you're going to take an L, but if you start playing your backups, there's a good chance that you probably will, even against a bad team. So, we'll see. There's also the issue of we played our starters and our quarterback got hurt, so he might stick out even a little bit more and just say, screw it, I don't really care. We're not risking that because we are, we're a powerhouse and we're not going to be without a quarterback. So we'll see. That'll be a good problem to have if and when we ever do get there. All right, let's take our first break. We'll be right back. By the way, Nate, yes, I did skip your second call. I was going to play it, but I just was thinking, I don't know, the wrong person listens to that, and then they start trying to cause problems for me or whatever. But to answer your question, yes, and I got a good chuckle out of your call.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? It's Aaron from Eau Claire. Wow, what an awesome couple of days, Sunday and Monday. That was incredible watching the Packers beat down the Lions like they did. Man, it was just magnificent. Just incredible to see just the beatdown because, man, those Lions fans, I mean, I never really hate the players. It's the fans that I want to see suffer, because they're so cocky. They're like, oh yeah, the Packers are just done for now. They're just trash. They'll never beat the Lions. And then to just see that beat down happen is amazing. And then, man, watching the Vikings come back and beat the Bears was absolutely hilarious. And I just can't stop getting out of my mind that Ben Johnson press conference where he said, yeah, we enjoyed beating the Packers twice a year. And I'm like, how does that feel to lose to the Vikings? And, yeah, he's going to eat his words. That is for sure. I just thought it was incredible. Because they were in command of the game for, complete control for the first half of the game. And I was like, man, the Vikings just don't look very good. Like, the Bears have this one in their pocket. And then the Vikings started coming back, and I was like, oh, no, this is going to be another one of those games for the Bears.
Yep.
Like, man, they just keep finding new ways to lose these games. Man, I don't get it. They must, are they cursed, or is it just bad culture? I don't really know. But, yeah, I think it's hilarious that both, actually, all the former Lions coaches that got jobs lost. Because Dan Campbell lost, Ben Johnson lost, and Aaron Glenn, I think that's his name, the former defensive coordinator for the head coach for the Jets, also lost, which I don't mind that guy. I think I'm kind of rooting for that guy, to be honest. But it is kind of funny how Justin Fields actually looks good now that he's playing for like a good coach. So I hope that continues because that'll be even funnier.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, so that's enough of me being mean. But talk to you later.
The Bears' ability to find new ways to crush their fan base will never cease to amaze me. I mean, it's almost embarrassing for any of us to continue believing, right? Like in that game, it's like, well, it looks like the Bears got this one in the bag. It's like, how stupid are we? Really? I mean, how absolutely stupid can you be? This is, I mean, it's certainly not the worst. You know, you got the Hail Mary against Washington and whatnot. But that's the point. They will find a way to. It was like Atlanta used to be that way, where they would just choke away these leads all the time. That's the Bears. And if it's not a lead, it's something else. There's always going to be some kind of a thing that's going to cause them to have hope, and then the Bears will dash it. And it's really amazing how creative, whatever this demonic entity is that wants to torture Bears fans, which I appreciate, by the way, it is incredibly gifted in its ability to come up with new and creative ways to hurt that fan base.
Howdy, it's Jared, the Uber driver from Texas.
Yo.
So you were asking towards the end of the last Packernet after dark, what does a guy like Golden do? Apparently, it allows us to sign Christian Watson to a 1-year extension. How about that?
Yeah.
That list of free agents is getting smaller now. Let's go. Go Pack, go. Have a good night.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. I mean, that's part of, everybody's panicking about this list of free agents. Well, the Packers are chipping away at it, right? We had the specialists getting paid, and you got Watson getting paid, and they're going to do that to kind of spread out, because we got a clump of people that got drafted in a very short period of time and brought in. And so you're going to have a lot of people that need to get paid around the same time. And so they're just slowly redistributing or respacing those out a little bit.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
What's up, man?
Hey, just listening to the pod, actually an older one here. People are calling in with it's like before the first game, previous anyways. People are bringing in their predictions, and so I forgot. I got to bring my prediction in.
All right.
Last year, I predicted the Packers would go undefeated, and
Okay.
That didn't work for me. But, I was hoping. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to play the lottery and hope you don't win them all, right? So
Sure.
I'm predicting they're going to win them all again. That's what I'm doing. They have to. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, it's kind of the way I looked at it last year. Why would they lose? And then I guess I found out why we would lose. But why would we lose this year? Tell me why we would lose any of these games, and then I'll change my prediction. We're not losing any of the games. There's no reason to lose, but there's every reason to win. So we're going to win every regular season game. Then we're going to win every playoff game. Then we're going to win the big game. So that's what I'm predicting. And what else? Anything else? Oh, Bears-Vikings last night. I didn't catch it. I had to work. But the Bears lost, so that's cool. Rico out.
So should I put 17 or should I put, what would it be, 20? I'll put 20 next to it. You can call in and clarify if you want. Or maybe I'll just kind of leave it as both. I don't know. Either way.
Oh, I just remembered another thing. Oh, by the way. Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico. Anyways, I was calling because I've been thinking, you keep talking about Go Pack Go. I don't know. I haven't found that episode yet. I don't know when and when not I'm supposed to say Go Pack Go. I'm really confused about it. I like to say Go Pack Go. So I got to get the proper etiquette down. I don't want to look like an idiot, I don't want to see you on the streets, Ryan, like bump into you at the what's that place called? The
Lambeau Field? I don't know.
Fuego and Rico and Rico.
I have no idea.
Rico,
I don't frequent
Uncle
those
Rico
establishments.
Brazilian Steakhouse. That place.
Okay.
I want to bump into you and say, "Go Pack, go," and then you shake your head and say, "What an idiot." So I got to get my etiquette down. Is there a YouTube I can watch or something? Something where I can like some kind of manual or book or something, help a guy out. I got to find the episode. All right, then. Rico out. Go Pack. I won't finish it because I don't want to look like an idiot.
All right, so for those that are out of the loop, I did not say there's anything wrong with saying Go Pack Go at all. Feel free to say Go Pack Go when and where and however you feel you would like to do that. That's perfectly fine. I don't care. The critique of me was that when you guys say it to me, I don't respond with Go Pack Go. Like, hello kind of thing, like just a call and return. And I just said, yeah, I'm not going to do that because for me it's weird to say it back. And I don't care if you say it back, but it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know why. It seems weird. It's not necessarily weird for me to say it. Again, it's not weird if you say it, but I don't really care what you do. But for those wondering why, when you say Go Pack Go at the end of your call, I don't say, yeah, Go Pack Go, dude. Anyways, here's the deal. That's why. It seems awkward and clunky and weird. That's it. Nothing more crazy than that. You guys do whatever you want. Doesn't bother me. I've never once heard somebody say Go Pack Go on the show and thought, you idiot. For the record. You sound so stupid.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico. I found it. The why you're opposed to the Go Pack Go thingy.
Okay.
And so it led me to doing some research. And I don't know if you know about this. Maybe you do. That there's, what would you call it? I'll just read what it says.
Okay.
Ahead of the date is September 4th, 2025. Ahead of the Packers season opener, Congressman Tony Weed and U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin introduced a bipartisan bill that will ensure Wisconsinites are able to watch Green Bay Packers games no matter where they reside in the state. The Go Pack Go Act will ensure that Wisconsinites have access to Green Bay Packer games even if they are located in a county that is considered out of the market. So yeah, apparently that's cool. I assume that has to do with blackouts or network, what is it called? When you use your antenna, whatever that's called. I forget. On air, you know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of cool. That's, whatever's going on there, it's kind of a big, long article here, and I don't really like to read about that kind of stuff. I'd rather read a children's book, but it's a library. All right, then. Just thought you might want to know that. Go Pack Go Act. Rico out.
I had not heard of that. Just got the robot to pull that up real quick. Proposed federal legislation. All Wisconsinites can watch Packer games on local TV. Essentially, some border areas are designated to other markets, Minnesota and Michigan. I guess there are 13 counties that would be impacted by the bill. The Duluth Superior Media Market, which includes Ashland, Bayfield, Douglas, Iron, and Sawyer. In the Twin Cities Media Market, Barron, Burnett, Dunn, Polk, Pierce, St. Croix, and Washburn. In the Michigan-adjacent Upper Peninsula Market, Florence County. I mean, I don't know how this stuff works, man. I don't know who's in control of these things and these markets and whatnot. I've never even considered it before. I guess just off the top of my head, I'm somewhat torn. There's sort of the Wisconsinite pride part that's like, yeah, Wisconsin, no matter what, you get preference for Packers because Wisconsin is Packers, and if you don't like it, go live in Minnesota, stupid. The other part of me assumes that that's part of the other market because it has actually a stronger pull. They wouldn't just arbitrarily start grabbing Wisconsin counties that want Packer games and don't want to watch Vikings games to force them if it wasn't what they felt was in their best interest in terms of that's what more people there want to watch, which would surprise me to find out. But again, I'm guessing it happens for a reason. But I guess ultimately, I really don't care. It would suck as a Packer fan to live in that area, and I would certainly be saying, bro, I live in Wisconsin. I should be able to watch Packer games. This is stupid. So for the people in those areas that are Packer fans, I wish you all the best that this goes in your favor. All right, let's take a break. We got 7 calls to rip through. We're making some decent progress here, but we got to get rocking and rolling. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Okay.
Never subject me or anyone else you like to that song again. Lord.
That's what you get for scolding me, man. That's what you get. Every time you scold me, you're getting punished with a really stupid song.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Chief Benny here. Just saw this thing from Easton Butler on Twitter about how several teams have called the Packers about trading for Romeo Dobbs. And I'm sitting here like, well, I think that would be kind of stupid if we did that. And I understand that we could use the draft capital after the Parsons trade, but I just think that Dobbs is actually pretty critical to our offense, and I think losing him would hurt. And we've already heard LaFleur say, like, I don't know if he was with Kay Adams or whatever, but he was kind of like, he's like, that's ridiculous. Like, he's not going anywhere. Like, something to that effect. So I feel like LaFleur really likes him too, as he should. I think he's been a good part of our offense, man. You know. So if they did it, I would understand it. I wouldn't be too happy about it, but you know, at the same time, I get it. As long as we get, you know, good compensation or whatever, but I don't think we should do that, man. No way, dude. I like Dobbs, man. But let me know what you think. Go Paco.
Yeah, and I already did touch on that a little bit. But again, I first of all, if you ask any head coach, they may try to be evasive on it, but if you're evasive, that seems like you're saying yes, that he could be traded. You know, if it's like, what do you think about all these Romeo getting traded rumors? And you're like, excuse me, well, we'll see how it materializes. You never know. Things happen. Crazy world. A lot of smells. Generally, I would assume as a head coach, it's your job to jump up and say he is a key piece of this. Stop saying that. But again, ultimately, it does come down to Brian Gutekunst. It's possible that Matt LaFleur already has talked to Brian Gutekunst, and Gutekunst says that it's not in our interest to trade him this year, so he already knows. So that's why he's shutting things down. And so there will not be a trade, even if there are offers. But without that information, I'm kind of left with, as I said yesterday, it's just a question of cost benefit. At some point, if somebody offers enough, you trade him. I don't know what that number is, but there's a number. And if a team hits that number, it becomes incumbent on the Packers to make that trade. So, that's going to depend on how the Packers feel about their wide receiver group. If they feel like they have not only the players but the depth to be able to pull it off, I would contend that they do. It's never going to be a better situation, which is what's going to upset people no matter what, is that obviously you're not better off. But yeah, I tend to think that there is a number in which the Packers could conceivably move on from Romeo Dobbs, whether that's the way that the team or Matt LaFleur wants it to be or not.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Chief Benny.
Yo.
I know I just called in about Romeo Dobbs, but I woke up this morning and checked the internet and seen that Christian Watson got an extension. Very cool. This makes me think that, one, his rehab is progressing way better than they maybe anticipated, but also I think this is a very smart deal, man. It's low risk, high reward. he basically had the same kind of numbers as Jameson Williams, and Jameson Williams just got a contract that's worth like $26 million a year.
Yeah.
And we're only paying Watson $13 million for 1 year, so I think it may even be a prove it kind of thing too. Like, all right, man, like you gotta really show us, man, that you can stay on the field, one, and two, that you can be a key part of our success. And so I like the deal. I think it's great. We'll just have to see, man. But man, can you imagine if we have Watson and Golden and Dobbs and I really like this receiving core, man. Like last year, yes, very disappointing. We had a lot of drops, but I really like the guys we have in like freaking Wicks, man. Dude gets open all the time. And then we have our tight ends that like really contribute to the passing game. It's great, dude. So hope Watson can come back. Obviously, I would be okay if our offense looks pretty decent right now without him. So like we don't really need him back right now. It would just really help. So with that being said, I honestly don't mind if he sits out the whole rest of this season, because we need him to be 100% sure that nothing crazy is going to happen to that knee or any other part of the body for that matter. So, yeah, I like this deal. I think this is good for the Packers, team-friendly deal for the Packers, and also, gives a little insurance to Christian, being that he's been injured a lot. And I'm not sure if he had really any guarantees with what he was working with. So, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a minor thing. We're in this situation again next year, trying to decide, is he staying, is he leaving, whatever. So it just kind of kicks the can. But I like Watson. Team likes Watson, and we don't have to worry about him next year. So that's good.
Hey, I know it's the whole Christian Watson contract. Some people are excited. Some people are like, what the heck? And I just think that this guy, he's a glue guy. Because, yes, like, he has games where he just comes out and he just, like, for some reason just had 3 touchdowns, goes crazy. It's been a couple years, but he has that in him. He's an amazing blocker. He does his job and doesn't complain, right? But the thing above it all, right, because he does his job, he doesn't complain, he's a great player for what they want him to do, right? He's an unselfish player. The thing that, like, sold me the most is, like, when Romeo was having his issues last year, he was a glue guy that's like, no, we love this dude, and, like, yeah, we're going to welcome him back in open arms, and just, like, it's not, like, it just seems like every time he talks, he's just a team guy, and he's literally like a locker room vibe, Like, he's just one of those guys that's always positive, carrying the locker room, and I think that really is, like, the priority. Obviously, he's, like, one of the most athletic receivers in the NFL. He just hasn't been able to put it together because when healthy, right? But I'm not opposed to it. I think it's a solid move. I think he's as good as Jameson Williams. I don't know what the numbers say. I'm not going to go look at PFF, but I've seen better games that he does than Jameson Williams, because Jameson Williams is just good because he's on an explosive offense that has lots of pieces. So when they can't cover everything, so he's fast, they get him the ball, and he gets scores. Like, I would never pay Jameson Williams to be a Packers, because I don't think he's a good human. Right? You see him humping the field, you see him do off the field stuff that's horrible. Christian Watson is a way better deal. 10 times out of 10, I would do it if the option was Jameson Williams or him every time. I don't even care if they say Jameson Williams is the greatest player in the league. He's not a good locker room guy. He fools around too much. But glad Christian got a little bit of money. If he's around after next year, he means he did good for us. So give him his opportunity, because he has the ability to do big things. So let's see what everything has in store for us. Let's see when he comes back. Let's see if he can prove it. So, go back, go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think character is one of the things that I had highlighted as to why the thing got done. You know, intelligent, high character. He is the consummate Green Bay Packer. I mean, if Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur could get together and build a player in a lab, it would be Christian Watson.
Hello, Ryan. So, I've been listening to the podcast the past few days, and I also listened to the PFF podcast, just the one for the Packers and the Lions. I think PFF does a good job in general. There's one thing I don't understand, though. Micah Parsons has typically, and you can see it in the defenses and DVOA and just in all these years in Dallas and everything, like he makes a massive difference in the general production of the defense. He clearly makes defenses better. And in this past game, when he was on the field, and I got this from the podcast, PFF podcast. Apparently, like the defense improved dramatically. Yet, even though there was a clear improvement, and he had a lot of effect in the game. There was not. He didn't have a very high grade, and so it seems like PFF doesn't account always for the amount of stuff you're doing. Insofar as like, okay, he was double team, he didn't beat the double team or something, and I wonder if he has a negative grade for that or something, or why was his grade so low yet his impact clearly so high? And I know it's like, it doesn't mean just because there's a correlation, it means that there's a causation. But in this case, I mean, over many, many years, I guess I just don't think that it's a coincidence, is what I'm saying. I do think he made a massive difference in this game, and as he has in the past few years with the Cowboys. Just wanted to see what your thought was on PFF, and I know they're not the end all be all, but how they seem to fail to grasp or to be able to grade how much somebody impacted the game. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously skipped PFF this week for a reason, and it wasn't just arbitrary. It was they didn't give grades that I felt people deserved, and they actually downgraded a ton of people. We went over their preemptive grades the day of or whatever. I was like, oh, here's what they said the top 5 offensive players were, defensive players, whatever, and tons of people had 90s and all this stuff, and then you get to it, and it's like, what? Why did everybody get downgraded? In fact, somebody even tracked that, and they downgraded a ton of Packers and upgraded a ton of Lions. So I don't know if some freaking Lions fan, Bears fan, Cowboys fan, D-bag, there's even people wondering if maybe agents are they got their hands in or pockets out there. I don't know, however you phrase that. Whatever. I don't really know. I think at the end of the day, as I've said before, there's no such thing as a perfect metric. It's why it's good to look at all of them and to try to understand what the strengths and weaknesses of all of them are. It's easier to know the strengths and weaknesses of stats because it's very clear what exactly they do. When you look at a stat, you can kind of parse through, this is what it does, this is what it doesn't do, and these are the blind spots. One obvious blind spot for PFF is exactly what you said, which is the impact that other people have because of him. So, for example, I don't think he got a bad grade when he was double-teamed. He probably got like a 60, which is dead average, because, I mean, you obviously didn't do something good, but you didn't do anything necessarily bad, depending on it, how it looked or whatever. I'm not going to give you a 90 because you sat there and got blocked. But the problem is, and this is where I've always had issues with like trying to do the grades myself, which I have done in the past, is you realize it's entirely imperfect, and until you can become just okay with that, you're never going to do it. Now, I did go back and watch every single pass rush snap of Micah Parsons, and I think that they got things entirely wrong. For example, they said he had 2 pressures. I think that's insane. That includes the sack. So the sack and then just 1 other pressure. Now, you know, I don't want to spend a lot of time on how stupid I think his grade was, but suffice it to say, they demonstrated that his win rate was extremely high. In other words, he whooped the crap out of the person across from them at a really high rate. The pressures were low because he didn't necessarily get to the quarterback fast enough because the ball came out too quickly. Okay, that's as good as a pressure to me. All I can do is judge you based on what you did. And if you executed what you're supposed to do at that high of a rate, it's kind of like the difference between if you get a pressure and they throw it away compared to a pressure and they threw a pick, should you get a higher grade? No. What the quarterback does is not up to you. That is not a reflection of how much better of a job you did, which is the question. If the ball comes out quickly and you are inches away from the quarterback, but technically we're not going to call that a pressure, I don't give a crap about whether you check the pressure box or not. That should be just as high of a grade as a pressure. Because if the ball didn't get out for another 0.3 seconds, that quarterback is holding the ball laying on the ground. The fact that the quarterback threw the ball really quickly, and in some of those cases, I am positive he threw the ball quickly because he saw Micah Parsons coming to him. And so if we're not calling that a pressure, which by my definition, saying that he felt pressured to throw the ball, whether he moves off his spot, whether he was even close to him necessarily at the time that he threw it is kind of irrelevant. The question really is just, did he feel pressured? So I disagree with their assessment while also acknowledging that it's an imperfect system. But I do think if you're going to be serious about stuff, there needs to be some reflection. You know, you have to, on some level, accept that it's imperfect and just be okay with that. You know, like you said, with the, you know, I'm not going to, we could talk about how I could give you a good grade for other people being successful, but I don't think that that's really going to be the best thing. So that's one of the imperfect things you just leave alone. But I also think that there are times when you need to go back and reflect and say, something doesn't seem right about our grade, right? Everybody points to Rodgers throwing like 5 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns or whatever it was and getting a low grade. Caleb had like a 67 grade or something. It was way too high. He was dog crap. But he probably got really high grades for some of those remarkable throws or whatever. But it doesn't reflect what we watched. And I think the biggest thing is when you go back and look at the Packers' defensive grades overall, you say, you know, if you just looked at the grades, you would say it wasn't that good of a performance. But when you watch the performance, it was a very good performance. So the question is, and maybe the answer is no, there's nothing we could have done better. And it's just one of those weird things. Because again, over the course of time, you'll find that PFF is a good metric. It just is, statistically. We know that it is, mathematically. But I think you're going to find that interspersed throughout that are going to be some wonky grades because of some weird things. But one of the things that I would do is I'd come back to it and I'd say that the Packers defense did a very, very good job, and our grades say that they didn't do a very good job. Is it one of those like, oh, shucks, you know, there's nothing, I wish I could do something, but there's nothing I could do things? Or do we need to possibly reflect on some of our grading systems here? But it's also why I'm not going to freak out about it. I like PFF. I use PFF. Sometimes I disagree with PFF, and, you know, I use it when I want to use it, when I think it's right to use it, and I don't in other times. Same with, you know, DVOA and EPA and all that. Again, these are not perfect. I think the problem is some people want to use things like EPA to say, like, the best. You know, Jordan Love is number 1 in EPA, therefore he's the best. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean he's the best. It just means he was number 1 in EPA. Now, EPA does have a relatively high correlation with being the best, whatever that even means, but it doesn't really mean that. So this is why I've said in the past where it's like it's good to really get a firm understanding of what they are and what they aren't. And I try to say when I say these things, you know, like I'll say they were number 1 in DVOA as opposed to they were the number 1 defense, and DVOA says so. or because DVOA told me so. Maybe that's the best metric to use, and so that is what I'm going to choose to use, but at least, you want to at least verbalize it and make it clear that it's certainly not a perfect thing. But again, the reason I didn't bother bringing it up, and I'm not going to lose sleep over it, is we all saw it and we were all happy with it. I don't know what's going on at PFF. It's much harder to go back and reflect on what maybe they got wrong or right. Some of it's right. Like I even talked about Edgerrin Cooper, where it's like if you're telling me that missed tackle behind the line of scrimmage that ultimately led to a massive loss because of what a great job he did getting there, but he didn't get him down the first time, if that's a negative play, I'm going to have to disagree. I understand that missing a tackle is not great. And I do understand that if other people weren't there, that could have been a bigger disaster, but you still should be giving him credit for what he did to get into the backfield and to get to the running back before he was able to even get to the line of scrimmage. And we should also have a discussion about the fact that the other people were only able to make that tackle because of him. So even a missed tackle in that situation, because of the disruption that it causes, is a positive. That should at least negate the missed tackle. And if we're not doing that and we're giving him lower grades because he quote-unquote missed a tackle, which he might have missed a tackle twice on that play, which could account for which would just be hilarious if that was 2 out of 3 of his missed tackles were on that one fantastic play. Those are the kinds of things that if I worked at PFF, I'd say we need to rethink the way that we grade this situation. And I'm hoping that they're doing that. I have a bad feeling that they have this sort of high and mighty feeling of we know better than you and this is our system and it is the perfect system and it shall not be tweaked. I'm hoping that they are constantly in review of what they do and how they can improve it. That's what I would do if I were in charge. I'd be trying to get it in line with some of these other metrics where we're way off. Maybe we have the better metric, or maybe we're worse and we need to see if we can find some ways to get it more in line with what is correct.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Cleco.
What's up?
Packer game, it's Thursday morning. Packers play tonight. Packers dominate tonight. It's going to be great. But I just called in because yesterday, or was it the day before, or whenever, I see Christian Watson got a contract extension. So I just want to say to the negative Christian Watson people, or Christian's got to go, and Christian's this, and Christian's that, and Christian's glass, and Christian. Ha! You know what I say? I say, ha! Take that. All right, then. Rico out. Go back, go. Oh, I said it. You don't have to reciprocate, Ryan.
Here we
you
go.
Just say, yeah. All right, then. Later, y'all.
I was planning on just saying nothing, but I could say yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Nate, you got the last call.
All right, it's Nate calling in. Just wanted to give my personal thoughts on the Christian Watson deal getting done. I think that's awesome. I think we all think it's awesome, but I think it also dispels a little bit of the old mythology that the Packers don't treat their players well. Because, like, they didn't have to pay him. Like, they didn't have to give him an extension.
Right.
And that was purely just to give him some money so that he doesn't have to worry anymore, and so he can just focus on football. Like, that's the real thing. Like Micah Parsons says how much it's better coming from Dallas over here. Like, I don't know when that rumor, I think it was Rodgers, of course, started that they don't treat their players the right way. When has that ever been seen? Like, Packers always are doing, the right thing and the good thing. So I don't want to hear that anymore after this Christian Watson deal. Like, that's just all the way. But anyway, go Pack, go.
Yeah, I also am completely unaware of situations where the team didn't handle things right. The only one, again, that I have heard that I thought was, if true, not great, was Mike McCarthy. Essentially, it was step into my office, and then it was we're going to go in a different direction, and that was kind of the end of it. Now, I don't know if there were further discussions after that, and that was just kind of like the immediate rip the Band-Aid off, just letting you know kind of deal, and then there were further things after that. I really don't know. But a lot of the stuff, like from Rodgers and some other people that are, fans or whatever that want to talk about it, it's, they offered Jordy a really low amount of money to stay. Yeah, they offered him what they thought he was worth, and then he went on to play somewhere else, and he was bad. well, I can't believe they didn't even offer this person or that person. Listen, if your entire example or your list of examples is just the Packers making decisions on players, give me a frickin' break. Well, he deserved better than that. Who deserves better than what? And again, it was always just Rodgers' friends that he didn't want to leave, that he was mad that the team made them leave, didn't pay them. Well, they deserve better than that. What does that mean? What does that mean? They should have just been paid a bunch of money to stay, even though the team didn't want them to stay? Because it's not a little bit of money, because if you try to offer a little money, like they did Jordy, then you're doing something terrible. It's insulting that you would offer so little. Okay, so I can't not offer you money. I can't offer you a very low amount of money, so I have to just pay you a lot of money to stay, even though you're old and we've determined that we don't want you here anymore. And again, that obviously is what it is. Look at Rodgers and the decisions he's made. Who does he want to play with? He always wants to play with his friends. He wants to bring back Randall Cobb. He wants Lazard. He wants his old coaching buddies back. He wanted his quarterback coach to be our old receiver coach because he was friends with him. It was one of his best friends. Not because he was the best quarterback coach, it was because he was his buddy. And then he brought him along with him over to the Jets. This is just his entourage, and he wants them to be taken places, and he wants them to have carte blanche. That's why the Jets had an offensive coordinator that did nothing, and they wouldn't fire him. The guy didn't have to do anything. He was Rodgers' friend. He could come in with an offensive coordinator title, put his feet up, and force the team to hire somebody else to actually handle his responsibilities without the offensive coordinator title. And it's just, it's all a bunch of nonsense, and we shouldn't believe it. The Packers are a very stand-up organization. It is a tough business with tough decisions to be made. They make those tough decisions, but they do what needs to be done. They pay people well, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. I don't know what else to tell you. That's what all 32 teams do. It's what 32 teams are supposed to do. Again, you never hear people crying about the undrafted free agent tryouts that get cut and how the teams aren't treating them well. It's always the multimillionaire superstars that are starting to decline. Those are the guys that apparently need special treatment. The guy fighting for his life to make the team that doesn't make the team, that guy can go screw himself, right? All right, well, we did it. We got through all the calls, so I will talk to you tomorrow for the post game, I guess. Big game today. Get fired up. Get excited. Let's go. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.